Welcome, everybody, to the third in our installment of Ant King Frequencies. Larry, how are you today?
I'm doing very well, nice and warm and kind of toasty, so that's much better than being cold and having the tips of your fingers feel like they're ready to fall off.
What's the temperature out there in Turkey, North Carolina?
It'd be, I think it's 74 degrees last time I checked, which would be, I guess, 30 Celsius for you, around that, about that.
Oh, wow,
maybe
so it's a warm
Celsius.
Day. Okay, cool.
Yeah, quite warm compared to what it has been, so...
Okay, cool.
Spring is actually here, but also is the pollen and the bees. And I'm not too keen on getting stung by any of them because, you know, they got one thing on their mind. Pollen, make the queen happy. So,
right.
And I'm a king, so there you go. You know what they do to the male ants? They just rip their arms and legs off and stuff.
Yeah, well, they can't afford a threat to the hive, so yeah, you're gone.
Yeah.
You're gonna be Macaulay Culkin in My Girl.
Or I'm gonna need a little, and if that's the case, I'm gonna need a little mini Sigourney Weaver with a flamethrower and a little colonial blaster, and she's gonna have to go into the hive and then blow it, you know, and then have a little tiny little Lance Henriksen nuke it from orbit. So,
and that's why our bee population is suffering globally.
Damn you, Lance Henriksen.
Well, look, that was a bit of a random tangent to start our podcast, but I think it's a good thing to bring up random tangents because I'd like to discuss something a bit random, something we haven't touched on yet, but I know it's something you've enjoyed and I've enjoyed, and in fact, for the past 2 years, I've been enjoying. I don't know if you're still into it, but we're talking about a video game today. Now, if I was to posit the most successful game in 2013. It started development in 2009. I'm not sure if it is still, but it was the most expensive game at the time it created. What do you think I'd be talking about? Did you read my Twitter feed? That's a question. I'll ask a question with a question. Did you read my Twitter feed from the other night? No.
Okay. You're talking about Grand Theft Auto.
That's right.
Which I just Grand Theft Auto 5 to be exact.
That's it.
And last night, after 18 months of waiting, it's been a couple weeks, give or take, a month or so, they finally released a heist packs.
Yep.
I've tried time and time again to have more than just a 1-2-man heist. And I had the opportunity slipped through my fingers, and I realized something. I do not like Grand Theft Auto anymore. I took the game, put it in the box, and spiked it, and it shattered into the discs didn't, but the case shattered, and I had pieces of green plastic everywhere because it's Xbox. Green plastic. I put them in a bag, and I threw it in the trash. I now deleted like the 7, 8, 12 gigabyte, whatever. I think it's like 16 gigabytes of information I had on it. I deleted everything and deleted Grand Theft Auto 4, and I'm going to get my copy of Grand Theft Auto 4. I'm going to sell at a game store. I don't care if they give me $1 for it. Just get it out of my sight. Wow. I'm done with Rockstar, and that because in the Heist DLC, the Heist add-on pack, which is the multiplayer add-on pack, Lester, who's basically this kind of David Cross, dumpy. He kind of looks like if Porky Pig was a human. And he's got a cane. He's like I forgot. He's like muscular dystrophy or some type of broken bones or something. And he's this. He's your kind of techie contact. And he's like, "Oh, you weren't ready." Like talking about the heists and stuff. Yeah, 18 months. It took you 18 months to get around to doing heists. After the initial game launch. because they were worried about the next gen consoles. They were putting first person for your Xbox One. Oh, we're gonna add Danger Zone and MIA. Bad Girls. Oh wow, we're adding a few songs in first person mode, and you take some LSD and play as a pigeon and crap on people. That's what took 18 months. So I had a total meltdown. The only second time this ever happened with a video game was Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, when I was battling Senator Armstrong at the final little bit of the game after 15 times, and I kept on trying. I said, forget this, it ain't worth it. Spiked it, looked up on YouTube the ending. I'm like, yeah, that won't worth it. And so so when people say rage quit, that's a rage quit. That's totally giving up. So that's kind of weird how you bring that up and you weren't referencing my
I took
last night.
I took 3 days off social media while I painted the house a couple of days ago. So that's a weird confluence of events. Look, this probably points out one of the flaws in me launching surprise topics upon you week to week.
No, that's actually a good thing. That's a good thing, though.
Are you happy to go ahead with this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pardon my French.
No. That's all good. Look, let me wind a bit back because you did start talking about the DLC. I want to go to the beginning maybe because the DLC is what has prompted me to talk about this, the heists and how good or not good they are. Talking as someone who actually hasn't been able to successfully complete a heist himself. Let's go back to the initial release of GTA 5, and I believe you actually played it before I did. What was the appeal?
My thing was I've been into Grand Theft Auto since Grand Theft Auto 3. I was into it, and I first saw the trailer and the music. There was 3 different trailers. It was a Trevor Michael and
Franklin?
Franklin, there you go, Franklin. I don't know why I always forget Franklin. But the 3 different trailers using 3 different types of music, showing 3 different basically is of San Andreas and Los Santos, Blaine County, and the Alamo Sea and everything like that, different aspects, different pieces of the character. And I'm like, wow, this is aimed to be much more involved and much more in depth than previous. Like the closest would be to be like Red Dead Redemption. I'm thinking, okay, wide open expanse. This is going to be great. A Return to San Andreas, maybe even references to CJ and the stuff that happened in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, some stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I pick it up because I did like Grand Theft Auto 4, but I felt they could have done more. And so I pick up Grand Theft Auto 5, the story. I focus on the story first and foremost because I know a lot of people do the multiplayer, but I wanted to get into these characters, and it's mix of Fargo and Sopranos and like Training Day and Sons of Anarchy and these like TV shows and movies and everything like that. And there's references to Live and Die in LA, and there's just tons and tons of movie and TV references. It's really fun. And it was in depth, but I started, after playing because you play missions over and over again, I was playing some certain missions over, having some fun, and then said, let's just go to multiplayer. And for months now, I'm talking 6 months plus, maybe even a year, I hadn't played the single player, the story campaign, or play as Trevor, Michael or Franklin. So the initial draw was the story, was this kind of pastiche, this homage, mockery of movies and TV shows, where that's what Rockstar does. They do a lot of mocking with the characters and everything. So that's one of the things that drew me in. How about you? I mean, like,
similarly to you, the previous games had an effect on me. I didn't play 3 or San Andreas that much, but 4 I played the full version, and I, like you, found it wanting. It wasn't until I played the DLC, The Ballad of Gay Tony, where I thought, this is a really in-depth game that explores characters and maybe stereotypes I'm unfamiliar with playing as before. And it really got me into 4. And I played 4 again after clocking the Ballad of Gay Tony and really enjoyed it a second time round. And I thought, you know what, they're doing such a good campaign advertising 5. Let's get into 5. And you'd played it before me, and I think recommended it to me and said something about exploding clowns. And I thought, well, I'm in. And I appropriated a copy of 5 and much like you, I played the storyline until I finished it the first time. I think you repeated missions a lot, more than I did. And yeah, have been playing multiplayer for a year and a half now. And like you, I think it might be time to wind up.
Yeah, well, the thing that got when he's talking about exploding clowns, which you're talking about exploding clowns, is there's a sequence where there's this guy, there's marijuana legalization, where basically marijuana is legal. They're trying to get cocaine legalized in California, in the game, not in, or sorry, San Andreas. Cocaine legalized in San Andreas. Well, it's probably don't have to be legalized in California. You just every producer and movie star's trunk has probably got at least a kilo in it. But in the game, there's a guy trying to exercise his community spirit, and he's giving each one of the characters, that's Franklin, Michael, and Trevor, basically some marijuana, very strong laced marijuana, and Michael encounters aliens. Franklin encounters mimes, I believe. I think it's mimes. And then Trevor encounters clowns. And the music they use is the Danny Elfman music from Pee-wee's Big Adventure, where the Pee-wee's bicycle is getting operated on by the clown doctors.
Yep.
And he's like the nightmare music. And it's that same music, and you're going around, killing the clowns, are exploding into confetti. It's a really strange and very... It's funny. It's really funny, and it's one of those things. Okay, you hooked me. You got me. The visuals are great. Basically, Trevor's like screwing some biker chick, biker's girl.
Yeah.
And then he goes out and stomps the guy's brains in, and gets in his pickup truck. I mean, this is something like you'd see like on HBO or FX, that type of thing. Like I said, that Sons of Anarchy angle. So. Getting into these characters is what I loved about it. And the dynamic between Michael and Trevor, and then the opening, the North Yankton, this robbery that goes kind of bad because of Michael's being a rat for the FIB, which is they just switch the F and B and I, and they just switch it around a bit, I guess, so the FBI wouldn't be all too ticked off at him. But he rats him out so he can get immunity, go under kind of not undercover, but witness protection, like have a normal life, his wife and kids. And he's made a huge mistake because he should have just let Trevor kill his wife and kids, and I think his life would have been much better. But that's one way of looking at it. But the multiplayer for a year and a half, it's the same missions over and over again. Oh, I'm not a hipster DLC. Oh, the High Life DLC. Oh, this is preparing for the heist. They're coming. That's 6 months down the line, a year down the line, 18 months down the line. Finally, the heists come out. There's like 6 heists, or I believe 5 heists. Sorry, 5. One is a 2-man heist at the beginning where it's a fleece a bank, and the rest are multi-tiered, multi-segmented heists where you have to rely on, if you don't have 4 people online at the same time that that you can trust, they're not going to dick around, leave the game, start dying, doing stupid stuff. Like if they can't fly, they shouldn't be in a jet, that type of thing. Then you're not going to be able to play the game the way it was meant to be played. And I was hoping, hey, more like robbing banks, like, simple banks. I'm not talking big, massive, like good, or there's a local bank in Blaine County. Just drive up to it, go in there, shotguns, intimidate them, get the money out of the vault, or, that type of thing. Something like that, something along those lines. But we're never given that. And we're just given one as like kind of a, what's your appetite? But it just, I guess my frustration with the game and Rockstar itself, with the, that trailer they released, oh, you weren't ready yet. See, they're talking, they ain't just talking to the characters in the game. They're talking to their customers, the people that paid for the game. they're talking down to them. See, Rockstar's being funny. You're really funny, Rockstar. That type of thing.
So look, you mentioned Trevor a couple of times, and I think he was arguably the most interesting and dynamic of the playable characters that they presented, because they haven't really presented any other playable characters other than your own avatar in the online component. So Trevor's was appealing because he was, I guess, morally ambiguous,
Psychotic.
emotionally bankrupt, and yet he had some perverted code whereby, you still had to look out for your mate, and the betrayal that was committed upon him by Michael was the unholiest of things to have been committed. Would the game have been as enjoyable without Trevor?
No. Trevor is the best thing about the game itself. The concepts that he brought, that, like you said, the moral ambiguity, that code that he had, no matter how twisted, it was a code. It was a respectable code. Like, you don't rat. You do. You have your friend's back. You do all you can to help your friend out. And it turns out your friend, got one of your other friends killed just so he could have a life of, kind of peace as a FIB lapdog. And, in a way. And he has he has love in his heart for being a guy who just, stomped another man's brains in, shoots people willy-nilly. He's in love with a married woman, 60-year-old married woman that's whose husband is a big time, kingpin of Los Santos.
He does sexually abuse a plushed bear.
That was well, I was going to leave. And the evidence of it, and because he puts in the grill of his truck and a lady's pair of underwear and covered in spunk, which was quite unnecessary. But okay, it's Trevor. Okay, I can. It's Trevor. I'm not going to argue with Trevor.
He beats his own friends. He's a Juggalo-inspired lackey.
And Ron.
Yeah. He pretty much takes hostage. Was it his cousin? And sexually assaults essentially his cousin's wife to be, I think it is. He slaps her around and calls her various names, which would verge on an assault charge of a sexual nature. Why is this the most likable character in the game?
Because I really do think he represents humanity, because we are a very, you push a person to a point where they maybe have a chemical imbalance in the brain, maybe there are a few screws loose, maybe they feel that they don't have to conform to the laws of decency, the laws of man or decency of society. And when you do that, you get Trevor. I mean, is he really any different than somebody in the Middle East, setting somebody on fire or throwing somebody off a roof, or you got somebody in the, let's say, the Badlands, who you see somebody coming up on their land, they shoot him. I mean, he's mentally like an island unto himself. There's only him and his code and what he feels that he must do, what he wants to do. And when you boil it down, I do think he represents humanity in a nutshell, because we are we have like this, we're doing this for the right reasons, for the greater good. But when really boil it down, that's all the good you're doing for is for yourself.
So from all the, I guess, personalities they present in the game, you've got the billionaire Devon, you've got, is it Martin or Martinez, the mob boss?
Martin Madrazo. I think it's Martin Madrazo.
That's it. The big mob boss. Various other very successful and actively engaged financially people. The most desirable person you want to be is Trevor. Is that it? Are you saying that Trevor is what we'd all like to unleash within ourselves?
I really do. I don't necessarily think it's what we'd like to unleash, but given the three options we're given between Franklin, he's not a bad guy. He's up and coming, entrepreneur. He's working hard as basically car repo, and he's going into bad neighborhoods, getting cars for Simeon, who's this just horrible, exploitive, selling cars and interest rate, with interest rates that nobody can afford, and they're horrible cars and are ugly as sin, but people need vehicles and everything. And he's still has a soul. He is a heart. He's basically the focus of the game, and that was the intent. Then you have Michael, the family man who did bad things in the past. Now he goes to a psychiatrist and talks out his problems. His wife is sleeping around. His daughter is a skank, and the son, is a horrible mess that just plays video games all day, has neck tattoos, and thinks he's gangsta. And the character that cuts through all the crap and just basically, because when you play Grand Theft Auto games, you want to go around and just start killing people. You want to run people off the road. For Franklin or Michael to do that, Michael can't do that because he's got the FIB FIB agent watching his every step, making sure he's not going life of crime again. You have Franklin, who knows if he does the wrong thing, a young black man, in America, he'd end up either dead or in jail. So, but Trevor, he can unleash that inner psycho, or just the psycho that he is, and do everything. And so that represents the gamers of the world, which represent, because if Trevor hit somebody, you'd believe it. Oh, the reason why? Oh, he took a plane and he ejected out of the plane and watched the plane, as he pulled a parachute, watched the plane crash into a group of people just walking in the streets. That'd be Trevor. Yeah. Taking a minigun, shooting down police helicopters and gunning people down, and just cussing at them. That would be Trevor.
Well, yeah, I guess you're right. The number of people I've run into on the GTA 5 multiplayer have acted more like Trevor to me and to others than they have like Franklin or Michael. But you mentioned Franklin early on just then, and you said that he's the focal point of the game. I disagree.
Well, the only reason I'm saying he's a focal point is because the game makes you make a choice whether you kill at the end of the game. Either you kill Michael, you kill Trevor, or like I think most people chose you kill neither and you turn the gun. You get Michael and Trevor and you go kill everybody else that wants you to kill them. Which I ain't gonna kill Michael. I like Michael. I like Trevor. I like Franklin. I'm not going to kill one of these three guys. I mean, if there was one that was a total dick. Okay, if the options were, okay, you're Franklin and you have one of three people to kill, Michael, Trevor, or Lester. Lester's dying in a heartbeat. I'm gonna break his legs, and I'd probably break his legs and pour concrete on top of him, and then let him drown in concrete.
Jeez, man, that's your inner Trevor talking right now.
There you go. See, there you go. I'm a proper American psycho. I am Trevor. I broke it. That's what Trevor would do. I had a Trevor action. If he didn't like a game, he'd spike it. He'd destroy it. He probably would have shot it. But I'm not going to shoot.
I think he would have taken the hole in the middle of the disc and done something biblical to it. If you're asking me, what he would have done.
Well, there's one word for that: needle dick. Maybe that's the reason he's so angry.
Could be. He's compensating.
But
back to Franklin.
But yeah, back to Franklin. I do the developers, I think, wanted him to be the focal point of the game. But you say you disagree. You feel like
I think he was the weakest character there. I think he had the least fleshed out narrative. I think he had no development, whereas the other two clearly had an arc. And I feel he was a token African-American character to get the lucrative African-American gaming market 100% behind the game.
You know what I'm thinking? And because he didn't have like a long criminal record. He wasn't a violent person. He wasn't some opportunist. He didn't I could develop a better character. I mean, Franklin, he lives in Los Santos. He's like 22 years old or in mid-20s or something. I could have developed a better character, as far as give me a couple paragraphs. He came back from Iraq. He was a war vet. Saw some combat. Maybe a little. He tried for the police, but because of some trumped up charge or something, he was not able to become a cop. So he's like a failed cop. He's a soldier and everything like that. Losing his house. His friend is deep into drugs, and so he gets dragged into that world as like kind of a gunslinger, as it were, because he has experience with that. That right there is a better character. And then go from that to maybe working for the FIB by the end of the game or something, working for the government in some regard or so, something. Like you said, I do think you're pretty right about him being a token character. They could have tried harder.
He also seems to have the most changeable will. I mean, he's bossed around by his auntie, I think it is, at the start of the game. Then Michael comes
bossed
in.
around by Lamar.
Lamar bosses him around. Michael bosses him around. Trevor. Trevor bosses everyone around in Trevor's own way. He's the victim. He is never in charge or has any influence over any outcomes in the game. And,
Michael even victimizes him.
Yeah.
Because when Franklin goes to Michael's house to get his son's car, Little Pete's car from Pete and Pete, The Adventures of Pete, the old Nickelodeon TV show, which I'll never think it ever got down into Australia, but there's a TV show called Pete and Pete. It was a really weird show, but Little Pete, Danny Tamborelli is the guy who provides basically the look and the voice. I guess I don't know if he did motion cap, but for Michael's son, not AJ, no, that's Sopranos, but basically the AJ character. He's like an AJ type character. But Franklin, repossesses the vehicle, sneaks through the house, is all sneaking and stuff like that, and gets basically back to Simeon's. And then here comes, Michael out of the back seat with a gun to Franklin's head and tells Franklin to floor it right through Simeon's showroom. And then Michael tells Simeon off and everything like that at gunpoint.
Yep.
And so Franklin is like, basically he's not really out of a job. I think, was he out of a job at that point? It's a little blurry, but basically he just it wouldn't look good if you just gunned, a car right through your employer's, display room. He had a gun to the back of my head. Simeon is the type of person like, I do not care if he shoot and blood all over the car. I'll still charge your family to clean it up. And that type of thing.
Yeah.
And that was a horrible accent, but I try. But but you're right. He is that token, and he has no growth. He's a puppet. He's a puppet by Devin and not Martine though. He's a puppet. Devin's puppet at the end. By the end of the game, like they want to use him as a puppet, but as the character, you can choose to refuse or accept it. So it's like not really a big choice, or a wide swath of choices.
Yeah, it's just what I found the biggest letdown of the three characters, and he even had the least number of missions, if I recall correctly, and I just had no motivation. I knew if I got to play as Michael, I'd get to see a little bit of the gangster side and those fun, especially the cinema, filmmaking missions. If I got Trevor, who knew what missions I'd be expecting? But if I got Franklin, it was going to be either some support firearm work or some driving, and it was a bit, I just thought a bit blur, to use a local colloquial term. But moving on to Michael then, who it was pretty much Ray Liotta made flesh, digital flesh.
For the second time around, because in Grand Theft Auto Vice City, that was Tommy Vercetti voiced by Ray Liotta. So
true.
Yeah. So very much Ray Liotta.
So what were your thoughts on Michael?
I liked Michael. I liked the fact that this guy gave up, not necessarily he gave up a life of crime, but also gave up his freedom in a way. So he could, though freedom as in he's shackled to his family now because of the deal he made with the FIB. Robbing banks, he had a stripper as a wife. He's thinking about his two kids, but it's that example of you giving your family what they want, not necessarily what they need. His wife is screwing around on him with a yoga instructor. Is it Fabian? I think it's Fabian is his name. And his two kids are despicable. His whole family is despicable. If he had a dog, the dog would be, or a cat, the dog or cat would probably have been, pissing on his shoes or chewing things up. He gets no respect. He's like Rodney Dangerfield. Hey, no respect. But that's the truth. His daughter goes basically on American Idol, where she's going to base herself for Laszlo, who's one of the game developers. He's been put into the game since Vice City as a kind of a DJ. When he's playing like the Ryan Seacrest, which would be the American Idol. He's like this. Ryan Seacrest is a scumbag because he's the reason the Kardashians are famous is because of him, him doing the TV show,
There's a lot
producing
to
it.
answer
So,
for.
yes, when if there is a hell and there is pitchforks up at anuses and stuff like that, hopefully he's first in line. But
Something
likelihood
tells
of
me
that
if there
happening.
was a hell, Ryan Seacrest would quickly work his way up the corporate chain to.
Oh dear Lord, you're
to be
exactly
running the
right.
place.
He would kiss ass.
It wouldn't put any fear or inhibitions in him. He'd just seize the opportunity
I'm
and
afraid
promote
you're
himself
right.
up that chain.
I'm afraid you're right.
Yeah,
but
he's clearly
but
very good at what he does, but what he does, I'm not a fan.
It's like you could. But the Laszlo character is basically playing that Ryan Seacrest character, but Michael goes out of his way to protect his family. Where I, on the other hand, if I was in his position, I would have woken up a long time ago and was like, if not, just either leave, just vanish, go to Canada or Mexico or wherever, just go out, live out in a boat out in the Alamo Sea or something, so they couldn't get to me. Have a rocket launcher ready, so if I see a boat coming my way, I just blow it up. Stay away from just get away from that family because they're horrible. And there's no redeeming factor about it. Oh, his wife's like, oh, I'm not gonna, honey, I love you type stuff, but it's she's just gonna go and get some, more, as they say, go get some more dick, as it were, But and his daughter's just it's still horrible. His son's horrible. Though he tries bonding with him, it does no good. There's no redeeming quality about his family. I wasn't endeared to him. I mean, I can understand a character you start out, you might hate the character, and you're like, you know what, I like the character now. Like they're still, they're cool. No, they weren't cool. I wanted them to die very horrible, slow deaths, like the dipping into a vat of acid or molten metal, like the T1000 or T800 with the thumbs up. But yeah, like his Michael. Is that it's kind of like an undercooked version of the Sopranos family. That's basically the best way to describe it. It's an undercooked version. It's
that's a very good and easy assessment to make. He's kind of like a shorthand for every sort of relatable mob patriarch.
Yeah, it's like you have Carmela doing, Furia, and then you have Michael's wife, Fabian. Very similar. So there you go. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know why that just popped in my head. That's totally out of the way. But yeah, he's that patriarch, and he's the, But where Tony had his guys, Michael has just his family, the shrink, and that's it. He ain't sitting outside Satriali's, talking with Big Pussy or Silvio or anybody like that. It's where you kind of get to know him. He's talking and where Michael has that, that maybe deeper backstory, compared to Franklin. He's, his backstory is rich. His character is rich as well. But even when you think about it, he doesn't really have, like, you start delving deep and like there's nothing. You hit rock bottom.
Yep.
And there's nothing else like a latch you onto the character. I mean, compare him to another family man, which would have been John Marston in Red Dead Redemption. The scars on his face, his past with a gang. His family's been basically taken by the government. He's got to go and start killing his former allies, his friends, former friends, so his family will be released, by the feds because they want to sew everything up, cut loose threads, and you get a backstory with him. You get even if they don't explicitly tell you, feel for him. You're in his position. He's it conflicted. There's not much. If they'd have left out the fact that Michael goes to a shrink, which is a little too on the nose to Sopranos. I mean, it was like, okay, I get it. He's basically supposed to be Tony Soprano, but
That's right.
nowhere near as interesting, But because Michael should have had maybe some psychotic breaks. You're driving around, and you might see something weird across the road or something. Like maybe he's hallucinating things, or I don't know. Maybe he took a bullet in the head a long time ago, or like some brain damage or something. I don't know. But make them interesting.
So one of the things, and you did mention this before, that makes the game so compelling to play, at least mission-wise, campaign-wise, is these nods and references to so much of our pop culture. Sopranos heavily weighs in, of course, upon that family dynamic from Michael. And I believe there's some Breaking Bad references there on the Trevor side of things.
Breaking Bad, Sons of Anarchy.
That's right.
There's a movie, a William Friedkin movie that anybody that hasn't seen, I recommend. I always recommend it to people. It's called To Live and Die in L.A.
Yep.
It stars William Peterson. It's got Bronson Pinchot. It's got not Bronson. I think not Bronson Pinchot. Sorry, but not Turturro. Yeah, John Turturro and Willem Dafoe's in it. And it's about counterfeiting. It's got the feds, treasury officers and everything like that. And it's like not necessarily crooked cops, but it's like bad situation goes worse. And it's very heavily inspired. Heavily inspired Grand Theft Auto 5. I think there's even a achievement called To Live and Die in Los Santos. And it's, the locations, the way that some of the missions are set up. The movie is basically like Grand Theft Auto. It's very much like a Grand Theft, get to here. Here's your waypoint. You got to get here without these people getting your hands on you, killing you. But like the movies and TV shows that this series, the whole entire Grand Theft Auto series reference. But with Grand Theft Auto 5, you got your the LA or the Los Santos River, and it just where conjures up everything from
Terminator 2.
Terminator 2, which actually took a black semi truck and drove it through there. It was kind of fun, but didn't have anybody to chase on a motorcycle. But fun stuff like that. I mean, you do your references to everything, but after a while, even with that, unless you find something new, it loses that loses the edge. It loses that it's no longer fresh, and you're like, okay, it is what there it is. Okay. After a while, I mean, you get bored of it. But I don't know if that was the point you're trying to make. But
well, look, that boredom, I think, is a very interesting aspect, because I don't think there's any particular game before this that I've played for 18 months or more non-stop. So it's doing something right. At least there's elements of the multiplayer, which is I guess I've been playing longest for, where you just want to keep coming back, whether it be once a week or once a fortnight or nightly, and try and get that next level up and unlock a new gun or unlock a new car modification or do something weird. You fantasize during the day about, driving a fighter jet underneath the bridge and into the hangar of an airport and then back out again. Just weird things that you find yourself wondering, I wonder if I could go back and do that. Or I heard you could do this, or I heard you could find that. There's a lot of apocrypha, and Rockstar have inserted their own myths and legends into the games, like finding ghosts or unkillable pumas and other such things in the game, yetis and Bigfoots and bears, oh my. So... they definitely have inserted some compelling element that kept me coming back. Before we discuss what doesn't work about the game, is there anything we've left out as far as what does work for the game?
I think, the music. That's another thing about Grand Theft Auto, the music. And while I feel, you're a big fan of like the Flying Lotus and everything like that, right?
Yep.
Like that kind of world. Electronic, not kind of like house music, almost what we call ED, not necessarily EDM, but in that type of music. And I was hoping for a more balance. Before the game came out, there was a rumor that the French musician Kavinsky was supposed to have a called Night Ride FM, a station. And I was like, good. Oh my God, this is going to be amazing. Basically, it would have been the entire not Outrider, not Outcast. The last album he put out, it was basically going to
Outrun.
Outrun. There you go. Been the entire Outrun album plus like Pacific Coast Highway and a couple of other tracks. Basically, it would have been like Drive. Been like the Drive station, And I do like the fact that they were using Bootsy Collins and they had Kenny Loggins. and one of the guys from I think Black Flag, and but the only two stations I would listen to were you know, radio low send rock radio, and then the country station. That would be it. And mainly because the country station played the Johnny Cash theme, the Johnny Cash Dukes of Hazzard theme, General Lead. I'd have a little orange Sabre Turbo with the horn and everything, and just be driving around like like jumping and like set it up perfectly.
Yeah.
But as far as the rest of the music goes, I mean, there was a few tracks here and there, but overall, I think the music in this game was some of the weakest in the entire series. But the music by Tangerine Dream, the score, because if you play the game, it's in the background. You got the radio on, or you got gunfire, engines roaring. But the musical score by Tangerine Dream was simply stunning. There's a track called No Happy Endings, one of my favorite North Yankton memories. We were set up. Just Chop the Dog is a great one. Just basically the entire score is perfect. That's one thing I'm not going to smash because I love it. But it was just great. I mean, and I don't know if you listen to those tracks separately, but they have this, even without the game, I mean, they have like a good, like, it's like good for like if you're even making art or you're just doing some cleaning or just say relaxing. Like certain songs, you probably relaxing a little too frantic.
Yeah.
But overall, that score, brilliant score.
Well, look, that's a good point with the music. I mean, you did find your favourites and stay on them. I liked just ironically putting things on either the Mirror Park or Non-Stop Pop FM and just, flying a fighter jet around to Britney Spears. It's such a... Exactly. Why you're laughing now is exactly what would make me giggle, because it's just so absurd.
The one song that game missed, and it really, the biggest song that game should have had in there was MIA Paper Planes. That song would have been perfect for that game, but it wasn't in there. I don't know why, but I was like, that song should have been in there. But I can get that. I can get that. Even ironically, just having a laugh. I think the Eddie Murphy party all the time. I would put that on. I wish you could just get out of the car and the music still be blaring. I just so it's like a boombox, like a rolling boombox in your car. But no, you got to hear your traffic and this and that if you're walking around. Just leave the car doors open and maybe pop the trunk and have the music just blaring as you shooting people. But whatever.
But I remember showing a friend the game and he was asking me why are you playing this so much? What's the appeal? And whilst he was watching, I stole a fighter jet. I quickly avoided missiles, all while listening to Britney Spears' "Give Me More." I punched out over the water and landed my parachute in a yacht, which I proceeded to drive whilst "Rhythm of the Night" by Corona started playing, and it was night, and fireworks suddenly started going over the fun park, the pier. And it was just the most absurd, cliched, yet somehow beautiful moment. And it's those little moments that you play, or I play GTA 5 for. You get these weird little synchronicities of the absurd, which suddenly you find yourself giggling at 4 a.m. in the morning. It's taken you a while to get to this point, of course, and steal a bicycle and ride it to the top of the mountain and fall off whilst Lady Hear Me Tonight by Mojo is playing. But I don't know, it just works for me. And if I move on to the cons of the game, one of the biggest ones for me, and I almost found it offensive, was when they released the PS4, the Xbox One versions with new music, extra music as well as the old music. One of the things which would have got me back more playing GTA would have been more music on the
same here
older generation games. Why the hell, if I'm downloading 3 gigs worth of crap in the DLCs, can't I download another song?
Exactly. That right there, you're trying to tell me that a song, if you were to rip it onto your hard drive or download it through iTunes or Amazon or what have you, that this song, maybe 10 megabytes per song, let's say that's a good estimate, like a high
Yeah.
quality song, 10 megabytes, maybe some code that's already in there where you can expand. Hell, you could add a new channel. You could add that Night Rider FM. There you go. You could add another one, maybe like, you know, classical music, like true classical music, or something along those
Oh, hell
lines.
yeah.
That would be
Flight of the
yeah, like,
Valkyries during a firefight, or even
there
a
you go.
helicopter attack would be amazing.
And the thing about this, in the Heist DLC, they released a attack helicopter, which is a Huey gunship with rockets.
Yep.
So there you go. That right there, it goes to show if the new system, I guarantee, if the next gen consoles didn't come out when they did, the Grand Theft Auto 5 experience, I would have never. I blame Rockstar for me breaking their game, because if they had, focused on this quote quote the previous generation, from now it's basically still technically viable, but it's old news. Everybody's focused on PS4 and Xbox One. They'd focus on the Xbox 360 and PS3 versions.
Yeah.
Where giving them new music, new channels, new missions, heists, stuff, more two-man stuff or one-man heist. You're trying to say a one person can't pull off? DB Cooper, he pulled off, well, I think there's only like $100,000, but still, that's a lot of money. I mean, it's Grand Theft Auto. I mean, you have, one of your main characters takes some drugs and ends up, getting abducted by aliens and then parachuting naked or falling naked from the sky while techno music plays. So you're trying to tell me that you can't have one guy go to the Los Santos International Airport, get aboard a plane. The plane is carrying money. It's protected by Merryweather. You have a firefight inside the plane, and then you take the money and the plane has mechanical difficulties and crashes in the ocean, with deep part of the ocean, so they can't find it, and they can't get the black box or none of that stuff, so they can't prove that the money was stolen. There you go. There's a heist mission that seems like it would be so much fun. You have maybe a guy waiting for you with a boat. I don't know, like that right there. That would have been fun, but no, we're given missions where the crux of the mission relies on a 13-year-old is getting yelled at by its parent to come and eat or clean its room, and I'm saying it like an animal or something non-human, because that's what most of these teenagers are that play Grand Theft Auto are non-human.
I can't fault the Michael and Trevor missions, because, like I said, they were part of an arc. They were part of character development. With Michael at the end, you've got a guy who realizes that his family is as part of his life as the criminal element that he was missing, and sort of led to this midlife crisis that drives the game. Trevor, you've got someone that comes around and despite being ultimately betrayed by a person he deified, he gets back on side with and finds merits in it, and even takes steps towards becoming a better person. There is this development which those little missions do contribute towards showing. All that tedious time with the family just shows how, I guess, intolerable Michael's family is. Almost as intolerable as he is as a person inside. But
I get that.
But yeah, with the music, I just and with a lot of other things, it just seems everything's gone towards the new generation of gameplay, and seems to be neglecting the older generation. With microtransactions, one of the most questionable elements of the game, because it is one of the most successful games to have this microtransaction element to it, where you can pretty much buy success and ability in the multiplayer side of things by basically having money to buy unlimited ammo or unlimited vehicles. There's pretty much no cap on the vehicles that you can buy. Why couldn't they cross the streams, so to speak, and have music that you could buy?
There you go. Okay, most systems, whether it be PlayStation, every system, including PC, you have the ability to, like, okay, you say you have, like, for me, I bought music through Amazon. Yep. I have an Amazon web player because I like it. $5 for an album. They have like $5.99 for an album or something, or $9.99, whatever. Soundtrack. Buy it, digitally download it, and they probably have hookups on your Xbox. I know on PlayStation Network as well for music and music players and stuff like that. And even if it's not something you can import from your, like say something you have on your hard drive of your system or your computer, depending on what's, way you're playing the game, the ability to have new music in the game, create your own channels. Because I believe in the Xbox One, you're not able to play the Windows media. And so, like in the other with Xbox 360, you're able to, like, if you have, like, say, a track listing, a couple track listings for, like, say, called Grand Theft Auto music, and it's like music from the previous Grand Theft Auto games or what have you, and you can play in the background while you're driving around. You still hear gunfire, you still hear the car engine, but your music is playing over instead of the radio.
Yep. You could do that with Grand Theft Auto 4 on PC. I did that. I put my whole music library in the radio selector for Grand Theft Auto 4.
Yeah, so I mean, there you go. You can listen to that instead of listening to the same. Though I love "Lonely as a Night" by Billy Squier, I don't want to hear it 50 damn times. Yeah. I don't want to hear it, and then you get out of one car, you get into another, or two people playing in the same game at the same time with the same station, two different songs are on, or stuff ain't synced up properly, and to have your music choice is so limited. I'm thinking you have gigabytes upon gigabytes upon gigabytes of your crappy Vans and T-shirts and puka shells or little wrist bracelets and this and that, but you can't put more music. You can't license some more music. You can't license more, like, hey, you can't go to Kenny Loggins' house and have him record some new dialogue, like every, say, 4 to 6 months, have like new dialogue or something, where there'll be 15 minutes will go a long way. Even if it's like like outtakes or something, just throw something in there. Add a new station, give yourself some options. I mean, a lot of the music, I'm like, this is why I listen to, MP3s off my phone or CDs in my car, and I don't, because the radio sucks. They play the same songs over and over again. Maybe that's a part of the commentary. The radio plays the same songs over and over and over again. But
look, the fact that insane. I understand how much music costs. I am a failed ex-musician. I know how much rights can go for, and getting an artist to sign over something to be played ad nauseum can cost a lot in publishing. But if they're buying the rights anyway for the new gen versions, share the love down a little bit to the old gen systems, or actually make some money on it. If they said, okay, Antonio, you want to listen to Outrun by Kavinsky while playing GTA 5, for $10 you can download that to your custom radio station and any other albums, or even stream it, combine it with Spotify and make your own online playlists play on. They've got a lot of cross support online stuff with the iFruit app on phones and the other GTA online social club type programs. There's no way they couldn't do something like that. It'd be very hard to do, but it would also make the game that much better and probably get me playing it rather than doing what I'm about to do, and that's load up Alien Isolation and forget about GTA for a bit. So, yeah, that's pretty much what it is for me.
Well, I mean, I totally get that, because I look at it this way. Even if I were to, the half a dozen heist maps with the same songs we've had for 18 months since launch, no new songs, no new dialogue, no new, Kenny Loggins spouting on about his yachts or what have you, because it's yacht rock. Haha, I get it. Yacht rock. But even with the heist, and say I had a swath of people that could, like a snap of a finger, could get on and play heist at the same time. Because, it seems easy. Oh, well, your friends, like, people have lives. And and also, even if you have people right in your local area, they got work, they have whatever, going to college, or going, going out to eat, going to the movies, going grocery shop, whatever. You have to have everything move together. And these are not short missions. These are like 45 minutes or something, or 15, 20 minutes plus. And then, and it keeps on going and going and going. And it's just, But even with that, and that was to go smoothly. After a moment, I've been like, "What's next?" Nothing. They're not going to keep. They're saying they're going to be. Oh, we're going to release some more story stuff down the line, but even if that's the case, they're really not going to be supporting it. They had an issue with the next gen consoles just recently where they had a patch that dropped the resolution down, so everything was starting to get muddy compared to what it was before.
I heard
So
especially
they're
on
dropping the ball.
Xbox there were some issues.
Oh yeah, there's always issues on the Xbox. You turn the game on, and I would love for, I don't know if it's a developer issue or a system issue, because I'm an Xbox person. I have a PS3 as well. I was a PlayStation. I had played PS1, PS2, and everything like that for the longest time. Then went to Xbox and 360, and I got PS3, and I don't know which PS4 or Xbox One. I'll probably go PS4. I don't know, but the one thing I'd love, especially for Xbox or that type of games, to send me. You got my email because I'm signed up with your Xbox Live or this or that. Send me an email. Have a little notification in my inbox on the Xbox saying there's an update for Grand Theft Auto 5 or there's an update for this game. So when I go into the game expecting, hey, yeah, I'll see you on the game, and it disconnects me and it's just download update, and it takes it's a 100 plus megabyte update, so it takes some 15 minutes or something crazy because the internet connection starts to get wonky with Xbox, because you can run Netflix and everything smooth from a PC or the PS3, but when you start Xbox is really funky when it comes to the streaming. So it's like, what can you do? You can't do nothing. But I don't know. But I totally get that. Going to something like Alien Isolation, just focus. Having another game like I recently took a big break from Grand Theft Auto 5 before my psychotic display of frustration. But I've been playing Rage, which is basically Mad Max. It's a game that id, the people that put Doom out, and Bethesda, who behind the Fallout series and some of the Fallout games, New Vegas, I believe, as well as not New Vegas, Fallout 3. And so it's very much like a Mad Max game. And I played Singularity, which came out in 2010, and it's about a studio called Raven. It's basically some of the better sci-fi elements from, think of BioShock Infinite, but with a Soviet twist.
Cool.
So it's like your choice. It's more story driven, so it doesn't really have much replayability. But it was quite a fun game. I was getting a real big kick out of it. And so
must check that out.
It's an old game. Apparently there was a multiplayer for it, but it's pretty much a dead zone now. But it's a 5-year-old game.
Nah, I thought you were talking about a new game, but I know what you're talking about now.
Okay, because it's like one of the best. It's kind of like very much like Half-Life 2 in some regards, and little bits of, like I said, BioShock Infinite. But I enjoyed it. I mean, it's story driven, and though characters probably not the most fleshed out, but a good story can trump a poor character development any day. But but like you said, you're going to Alien Isolation. That's a good place to go. That's a game that I would play, but I suck at sneaking, so I'm not the best at that. But as far as Grand Theft Auto, I was thinking, I regret smashing that when I wake up tomorrow, and I woke up today. Nope, don't regret it at all. I should probably do it again, or maybe sell it, but not smash it. But I don't know. It's like, I'm not going to get much money out of it anyway, after the fact. But it felt very cathartic to just have I was like, I wasted so much time on this game when I could have been drawing or being, writing stories. My science fiction stories. Well,
look, there you have it, guys. I think it's pretty apparent to anyone listening. You've heard the death knell of GTA 5, as far as at least the Ant King frequency is concerned. I, as half of the frequency, wish to say thank you, Rockstar, for 18 months of fun and absurdity, but it's time to call it a night. Larry, do you have anything to say?
Well, I thank Rockstar for like a decade and some change of like you said, like 12 years of Grand Theft Auto gaming and fun I did have, but with this trend of microtransactions, it's just going to get worse. It's not going to get better. So I'm like pulling a parachute, like you said, ditching a plane over the ocean and landing in a yacht. That's exactly what I'm doing right now, metaphorically speaking. I'm parachuting my way into a nice lap of luxury with games with a good story and less microtransactions. But Rockstar, thank you for what you did so far. But here's a finger for your eye and your ear. And so there you go.
Fair enough. All right. Well, look, we might call it an end to the third episode now of the Ant King Frequency. Thank you all for listening. If you want to get in touch with either of us, Twitter's probably the best way to do it. You can reach me at Antonio Sanciolo, Antonio Sanciolo. And Larry, how's the best way to reach you?
At Larry King Undead on Twitter.
Brilliant. Well, look, let us know if there's anything you think should be added to our discussion about GTA 5 or any other things you'd like us to talk about in the future. Hope to talk to you soon. Thanks, guys, and have a good night.
The Ant King Frequency is copyright 2015 by White Tiger Graphics.